I came home from my fishing trip to discover my wife had drained our entire $47,000 emergency fund while I was gone. But what she didn't know was that I had been watching her every move for weeks, and I was already 3 steps ahead of her plan. The question is, when someone you love betrays you in the worst possible way, how far would you go to protect yourself? My phone buzzed 3 times before I even pulled into our driveway. The weekend fishing trip to Oakmere Bay had been perfect. Calm waters, beautiful sunrise, and the kind of peace I hadn't felt in months. Harper's car sat in the garage, which surprised me since she usually parked outside when expecting me home. Something felt wrong the moment I stepped through the front door. The house carried an unusual stillness, like the air itself was holding secrets. Harper's purse wasn't on the kitchen counter where she always dropped it. Her reading glasses weren't beside the morning newspaper. Even stranger, the newspaper was still folded exactly how it had been delivered, untouched. I checked my phone again. 3 messages from First National Bank. My stomach dropped as I opened the first one. Large withdrawal processed on emergency savings account ending in 7432. The second message made my hand shake. Account balance update. $47,000 withdrawn. The third message felt like a punch to my chest. Emergency savings account closed at customer request. $52,000. Gone. Our emergency fund that we had spent 8 long years building together, saving every extra penny from my job at the insurance company and her work at the dental office. The money we swore we would only touch for real emergencies, medical bills, job loss, or major home repairs. The money that represented our security, our future, our trust in each other. I dropped my fishing gear by the door and ran upstairs, taking the steps 2 at a time. Harper's bedroom door was shut tight. We had been sleeping in separate rooms for 3 weeks now, ever since our big fight about her staying out late without explaining where she went. She claimed she needed space to think about our marriage, and I had agreed, hoping it would help us work through our problems. "Harper," I called softly, knocking on her door. "Honey, I'm home." Silence. I pressed my ear against the wood and heard something that made my blood freeze. Quiet crying. Not the kind of tears someone sheds when they're sad about a movie or a book. These were the desperate sobs of someone who knew they had made a terrible mistake. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe someone had stolen her bank information. Maybe there was a real emergency with her family that she hadn't told me about. Maybe her sister Caroline was sick again, or her parents needed help with their mortgage. Harper loved her family deeply, and I knew she would do anything to protect them. But why hadn't she called me? Why hadn't she answered my text from the lake? I had sent her 3 messages over the weekend, telling her about the fish I caught and how much I missed her. She hadn't replied to any of them, which wasn't like her at all. I walked slowly to my home office and logged into our bank account on my computer. The screen showed a history that made my heart sink. The big withdrawal yesterday was just the final piece. Over the past 2 months, there had been smaller amounts taken out, 500 here, 1,000 there, 2,000 a week before I left for my trip. Each withdrawal happened on days when I was at work or out of town for business meetings. Each one was perfectly timed for when I wouldn't notice right away. Someone had been planning this for weeks, maybe months. I printed out the bank statements and studied them carefully. The pattern became clear. Every withdrawal happened on days when Harper had told me she was visiting her book club, going shopping with friends, or attending her yoga class. Days when she came home later than usual, sometimes with stories about traffic or running into old friends at the store. My hand started shaking as I realized what this might mean. The woman I had loved and trusted for 12 years, the woman who had promised to build a life with me, might have been lying to my face for months. I heard footsteps in the hallway above me, soft and careful, like someone trying not to be heard. Harper was awake and moving around, but she hadn't come downstairs to greet me. She hadn't called out to ask how my trip went or to say she missed me. Instead, she was hiding. I thought about all the small changes I had noticed over the past few months. The way she guarded her phone, taking it with her even to the bathroom. The new clothes that appeared in her closet, things I had never seen her wear. The way she started working late more often, claiming the dental office needed extra help with new patients. The way she looked at me differently, like I was a stranger instead of her husband. I picked up my phone and scrolled through our text messages from the weekend. 3 messages from me, full of love and excitement about the trip. 0 responses from her. But I could see that she had read every single one. She had been ignoring me on purpose. My phone rang, making me jump. Harper's name appeared on the screen. After 2 days of silence, she was finally calling me back. "Hello." I answered, trying to keep my voice steady. "Oh, good. Your home's safe," she said, but her voice sounded strange, like she had been crying for hours. "How was your trip?" "It was fine," I replied carefully. "Harper, we need to talk." The line went quiet for several long seconds. "About what?" she finally whispered. "About the $52,000. The phone went dead in my hand. I stared at the silent screen for a full minute, waiting for her to call back with an explanation, an apology, anything that would make sense of what was happening. Harper had never hung up on me before, not even during our worst fights. We had always talked through our problems, always found a way to understand each other. But this felt different. This felt like the end of something important. Heavy footsteps moved across the ceiling above me. Doors opened and closed. Drawers slammed shut. Harper was doing something up there, something urgent that couldn't wait for our conversation. I walked back to my computer and opened a new browser window. If Harper wasn't going to explain what happened to our money, I would have to find out myself. I started with our joint checking account, looking for clues about where the money might have gone. What I found made my stomach turn. 3 large payments to something called Sunset View Properties over the past month. Each payment was exactly $3,000. I had never heard of this company, and Harper had never mentioned making any payments to anyone named Sunset View. I searched online for Sunset View Properties and found their website. They own apartment buildings and rental houses all over our city. Their main business was helping people find short-term housing, the kind of places people stayed when they were between homes or needed somewhere temporary to live. Why would Harper be paying rent somewhere else? My phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. "Don't come upstairs yet. I need more time to explain everything. Please trust me." Trust. The word felt like a joke now. How could I trust someone who had been secretly taking our money and paying for apartments I didn't know about? How could I trust someone who hung up on me when I asked a simple question about our finances? I texted back, "Come downstairs. We'll figure this out together." No response. I decided to do something I had never done before in our 12 years of marriage. I opened Harper's laptop computer, which she had left on the kitchen table. The screen was still unlocked, showing her email inbox. The first email I saw was from someone named Mitchell Reeves, sent just 2 hours ago. "Package pickup complete. Everything is ready for tonight as planned. Can't wait to start our new life together." Our new life together. I scrolled through more emails, my heart breaking with each new message I read. Harper and Mitchell had been writing to each other for 3 months. The emails started friendly, talking about books and movies and shared interests. But they quickly became romantic, full of promises about running away together and starting fresh somewhere new. Mitchell called Harper beautiful and amazing. He told her she deserved better than her boring husband who didn't appreciate her. He promised to take her to places she had never seen, to give her the exciting life she had always wanted. Harper wrote back about feeling trapped in our marriage, feeling like she was wasting her life with someone who didn't understand her dreams. She told Mitchell about our emergency fund, about how much money we had saved, about how easy it would be to take it and disappear. She had been planning to leave me. The emails included photos they had sent each other. Mitchell was younger than me, maybe 35, with dark hair and expensive clothes. He looked like the kind of man who knew how to make women feel special, how to say exactly what they wanted to hear. In her photos, Harper looked happier than she had looked with me in years. I found more evidence in her email trash folder. Messages about apartment rentals, car sales, and travel plans. Harper and Mitchell had been planning every detail of their escape. They were going to sell her car, rent a truck, and drive to California, where Mitchell claimed he had a job waiting. All using our money. All behind my back. My hand was shaking as I called my brother James, the only person I could trust with something this serious. He answered on the second ring. "Hey, what's up? How was fishing?" "James, I need help," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Harper took all our emergency money. I think she's planning to leave me." "What? Are you serious? When did this happen?" "Yesterday while I was gone. She took $52,000 and closed our emergency account." I found emails on her computer. She's been planning this with another man for months. James was quiet for a moment. Do you have copies of the emails? I'm looking at them right now. Take pictures of everything with your phone. Bank statements, emails, any messages between them. You're going to need proof of what she did. I spent the next hour following James's advice, carefully photographing every piece of evidence I could find. Email conversations, bank records, receipts for the apartment payments. Even a list Harper had written about things she wanted to take when she left. The list included my grandmother's jewelry, my collection of rare coins, and the title to my truck. She wasn't just planning to leave with our emergency money. She was planning to take anything valuable she could carry. Around 4 o'clock, I heard Harper's bedroom door open. She walked slowly down the stairs, wearing clothes I had never seen before, a red dress that looked expensive, and new shoes that probably cost more than I spent on groceries in a month. She looked beautiful, but she looked like a stranger. I can explain everything, she said, not meeting my eyes. I'm listening, I replied, closing her laptop and crossing my arms. Harper sat down across from me at our kitchen table, the same table where we had eaten breakfast together that morning before I left for my fishing trip. The same table where we had talked about our dreams and plans for the future. The money is for my sister Caroline, she began, tears starting to form in her eyes. She's sick, really sick. The doctors found something in her brain, and she needs surgery right away. The insurance won't pay for it, and she doesn't have enough money saved. I listened carefully, watching her face as she spoke. Harper had always been a good liar when she wanted to be, but I knew her tells. She touched her neck when she wasn't telling the truth. She avoided eye contact when she was making up stories. She was doing both right now. I didn't want to worry you, she continued. I thought I could handle it myself. Maybe find a way to pay the money back before you noticed. I know I should have talked to you first, but Caroline was so scared, and I had to help her. When is her surgery scheduled? I asked calmly. Harper hesitated. Next week, Tuesday morning. Which hospital? Another hesitation. Amberfield General. It's about 3 hours from here. I nodded and picked up my phone. Let's call Caroline right now and see how she's feeling. Harper's face went completely white. Caroline answered her phone on the first ring, her voice bright and cheerful from 3,000 miles away. Hey there, stranger. How was the fishing trip? I saw your pictures on social media. That sunrise shot was gorgeous. Her happy tone cut through our kitchen like a knife through Harper's web of lies. Harper's face turned gray as I put the phone on speaker. She started shaking her head frantically, waving her hands to try to get me to hang up, but I kept my eyes locked on hers. Caroline, this is going to sound strange, but how are you feeling health-wise? I asked, watching Harper crumble with each word. Health-wise? I feel fantastic. Tom and I just finished our morning jog along the beach here in Hawaii. We're celebrating our 20th wedding anniversary, remember? I sent you both the pictures yesterday from our hotel room. Why do you ask? Harper bolted from her chair and rushed toward the stairs, but I was faster. I blocked her path, still holding the phone where Caroline could hear everything. Caroline, has Harper called you recently about any medical problems? Brain surgery? Hospital bills? Brain surgery? Caroline laughed, completely confused. What on earth are you talking about? I haven't talked to Harper in 3 weeks, not since she called asking weird questions about her family finances. She wanted to know how much money Tom and I had in savings, which I thought was really strange. Harper slumped against the wall, caught in her lie. Tears streamed down her face, but they looked different now. Not tears of sadness, but tears of someone whose careful plans had just fallen apart. Caroline, I'll call you back later, I said, ending the call before my sister-in-law could ask more questions. The silence in our kitchen felt heavy and dangerous. Harper looked at me like a trapped animal, her eyes darting between the front door and the stairs, calculating her options. The surgery story was fake, I said quietly. Caroline is perfectly healthy, enjoying her anniversary vacation. So where did our $52,000 really go? Harper wiped her face with the back of her hand, smearing her makeup. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. Our marriage has been falling apart for months, and you've been too busy with work to notice. That doesn't answer my question. She walked to the kitchen window and stared out at the street, wrapping her arms around herself. I met someone who makes me feel alive again, who listens to me, who wants to build a future with me. Mitchell Reeves. Harper spun around, shocked that I knew his name. Did you read my emails? I read everything. 3 months of planning. Harper. 3 months of lies about book clubs and yoga classes while you were really meeting him. 3 months of slowly taking our money while telling me you loved me. Her whole attitude changed in an instant. The crying stopped, her shoulders straightened, and her voice became cold and calculating. Mitchell showed me what my life could be like with someone who actually appreciates me. Someone who wants adventure, travel, excitement. Not someone who comes home from work, eats dinner in silence, and falls asleep watching television every night. So you decided to steal from me to fund your new life? Steal. Harper laughed bitterly. I worked for that money too. I spent 8 years saving every penny, denying myself things I wanted, living in this boring house in this boring neighborhood with a boring husband who never wanted to do anything interesting. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photographs I had taken of her emails. These messages show you and Mitchell planning to take much more than the emergency fund. My grandmother's jewelry, my coin collection, the title to my truck. You were going to clean me out completely. Harper's mask slipped even further. Mitchell said I deserved those things. He said I had wasted enough years of my life settling for less than I deserved. When were you planning to tell me? Or were you just going to disappear one day and leave me with nothing? Tonight, she said, lifting her chin defiantly. Mitchell is picking me up tonight after you go to sleep. We're driving to California where he has a job lined up. We're going to start fresh somewhere people don't know us. I felt something break inside my chest. Not just my heart, but my faith in the person I had loved for 12 years. The woman standing in front of me wasn't the Harper I married. She was someone else entirely, someone capable of betraying everything we had built together. What about our house? Our life here? Our friends? Our families? What about them? Harper shrugged. Most of our friends are boring couples who do the same things every weekend. My family lives across the country anyway, and this house feels like a prison. I thought about all the dreams we had shared in this house. The plans we made sitting at this kitchen table. The way we used to talk about growing old together, maybe having children, traveling the world when we retired. All of it had been a lie, at least for her. Mitchell understands me in ways you never could. Harper continued, her voice getting stronger as she spoke. He's lived in 6 different states, speaks 3 languages, and has stories about places I've only seen in movies. He makes me feel like anything is possible. Harper, you barely know this man. 3 months isn't enough time, too. 3 months of real connection is worth more than 12 years of sleepwalking through a marriage, she snapped. I pulled out another piece of paper from my pocket, a printout I had made while she was upstairs. Mitchell Reeves doesn't exist. Harper froze, staring at the document in my hands. His real name is Robert Sinclair. He's 38 years old, not 35 like he told you. He's been married 4 times, divorced 3 times, and is currently wanted by police in Oregon for financial fraud. You're lying. I handed her the papers. Background check from a private investigator. Robert has done this exact same thing to other women. He finds lonely wives in struggling marriages, sweeps them off their feet, convinces them to steal money from their husbands, and then disappears once he gets what he wants. Harper read the papers, her face getting paler with each line. This can't be right. Mitchell loves me. He wants to marry me. His last victim was a woman named Angela in Portland. He convinced her to steal $60,000 from her husband's business account. She ended up in jail for embezzlement, and Mitchell disappeared with all the money. No, no, no. Harper shook her head violently. You're making this up to hurt me. I showed her my phone, which displayed a news article about Angela's case. The photo showed Robert Sinclair being arrested, the same face Harper had been kissing in the pictures on her laptop. Mitchell is coming to pick me up tonight, Harper whispered, but her voice had lost all its confidence. No, Harper. Robert is coming to pick up the rest of our money tonight. And then he's going to disappear, leaving you to face the consequences of what you've done. She collapsed back in her chair, staring at the evidence spread across our kitchen table. For the first time since I'd come home, she looked truly afraid. Harper sat frozen at our kitchen table for 10 full minutes, staring at the background check papers like they might change if she looked hard enough. I need to call him, she finally whispered, reaching for her phone with trembling hands. I need to ask him about this. There has to be an explanation. Go ahead, I said, settling back in my chair. But put it on speaker. I want to hear what Robert has to say about Angela from Portland. Harper dialed Mitchell's number, her fingers shaking so badly she had to try twice. The phone rang 4 times before going to voicemail. His smooth, confident voice filled our kitchen. You've reached Mitchell. Leave me a message and I'll get back to you soon. She tried again. Voicemail again. He's probably just busy, Harper said, but doubt was creeping in her voice. He said he had errands to run before picking me up tonight. I pulled out a different folder from my briefcase, one I had been saving for this moment. Harper, I need to show you something else. Something I discovered yesterday before I even left for my fishing trip. Her eyes widened as I spread bank statements across the table. Not ours, but ones belonging to Mitchell Reeves. How did you get these? My lawyer helped me request them as part of a fraud investigation. Mitchell opened this account 6 weeks ago using your social security number as a reference. He listed you as his wife and used our address as his residence. Harper grabbed the papers, scanning them frantically. That's impossible. We're not married. I never gave him my social security number. Look at the deposits, Harper. Every amount matches exactly with the money you've been taking from our accounts. He's been having you steal from us and deposit it directly into his personal account. The color drained from her face as she realized what this meant. He told me he was keeping the money safe in a special investment account that would earn interest while we planned our move. There is no investment account. He's been stealing from you while you were stealing from me. Harper's phone buzzed with a text message. She grabbed it eagerly, hoping for some explanation from Mitchell, but her face crumpled as she read it. What does it say? I asked. He says there's been a change of plans. He can't pick me up tonight, after all. He says he needs to take care of some urgent business out of state, and he'll contact me in a few days. I wasn't surprised. According to the private investigator I had hired, Robert Sinclair always disappeared right before his victims realized they had been scammed. He would string them along for a few more weeks with promises and excuses, then vanish completely once he was sure he had gotten everything he could. Harper, I know this is hard to accept, but Mitchell never loved you. He saw you as a target, a way to get money without having to work for it. She started crying again, but these tears were different. These were the tears of someone realizing they had destroyed their entire life for a lie. I don't understand, she sobbed. He seemed so genuine. He remembered everything I told him. He made me feel special, important. That's what con artists do. They study people, find out what they need to hear, and then say exactly those things. Harper looked around our kitchen like she was seeing it for the first time. The home we had built together, the life we had shared, the future we had planned. All of it gone because she had believed a stranger who told her pretty lies. What happens now? She asked quietly. I had been dreading this conversation, but I knew it had to happen. Harper, you stole $52,000 from our joint account. Money that belonged to both of us. Money we had saved together for emergencies. But I'm your wife. It was our money. You took it without my permission to run away with another man. Legally, that's theft. And according to my lawyer, since the amount is over $10,000, it's considered a felony. Harper's eyes grew wide with panic. You talked to a lawyer? I've been talking to several lawyers for the past 3 weeks. Ever since I started noticing the small withdrawals in your strange behavior. I pulled out another folder, this one containing documents I had hoped I would never have to use. These are divorce papers, Harper. I filed them yesterday morning before I left for my trip. You filed for divorce? But we haven't even tried counseling. We could work through this. Work through what? You planning to steal from me and run away with a con artist? You lying to my face for 3 months? You telling me my love wasn't enough while you planned to destroy everything we built together? Harper buried her face in her hands. I made a mistake. A terrible, awful mistake. But I still love you. Deep down, underneath all the confusion and unhappiness, I still love you. If you loved me, you wouldn't have stolen from me. If you loved me, you would have talked to me about your feelings instead of planning to disappear in the middle of the night. My phone rang, interrupting our conversation. The caller ID showed James's name. I need to take this, I said, stepping into the living room. How did it go? James asked immediately. She admitted everything. The sister story was completely fake. She's been planning to run away with this Mitchell guy, who turns out to be a career criminal named Robert Sinclair. Did you show her the background check? Yes. And the bank statements showing how he's been stealing from her while she was stealing from me. She's starting to realize she's been played. What about the money? Gone. All of it transferred to accounts she can't access. Even if we could track down Robert, he's probably already moved it somewhere else. James was quiet for a moment. Are you going through with a divorce? I don't see any other option. She betrayed everything we had together. Even if Robert is a con artist, she still chose to lie to me, steal from me, and plan to abandon our marriage. I am sorry, Mom. I know this isn't easy. The hardest part is that I still love her, I admitted. Even after everything she's done, part of me wants to find a way to fix this. But you can't fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. She made her choices. When I returned to the kitchen, Harper was gone. Her purse was missing from the counter, and I could hear her car starting in the garage. She was running. I ran outside just in time to see her backing out of our driveway, tears streaming down her face behind the windshield. She looked at me for one last moment, and I saw something in her eyes I had never seen before. Fear. Not fear of losing our marriage or fear of being alone. Fear of facing the consequences of what she had done. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Your wife just arrived at my office. She's asking about options for someone who might be facing theft charges. Should I talk to her? The message was from my lawyer. Harper was finally starting to understand how much trouble she was really in. 3 police cars surrounded Robert Sinclair's apartment building as I pulled into the parking lot at exactly 6 o'clock that evening. My lawyer had called me an hour earlier with news that changed everything. Harper hadn't just gone to his office seeking legal advice. She had agreed to help the police catch Robert in exchange for a lighter sentence on her own charges. The sting operation was happening right now. I parked across the street and watched through my windshield as officers positioned themselves around the building's exits. Detective Reynolds, the lead investigator on Robert's case, had given me permission to observe from a distance. After all, I was the victim whose stolen money would be used as evidence against him. Harper's car sat in the apartment complex parking lot, empty. She was already inside, wearing a wire and carrying a bag full of marked bills. Money the police had provided to catch Robert in the act of accepting stolen funds. My phone buzzed with a text from Detective Reynolds. Subject arrived 5 minutes ago. Your wife is inside now. Stay in your vehicle no matter what happens. Through the apartment building's glass doors, I could see movement in the lobby. Harper appeared, walking slowly toward the elevator with Robert beside her. Even from this distance, I could see he was carrying a large duffel bag, probably packed with everything he planned to take when he disappeared tonight. Robert looked exactly like his mugshot photos, but seeing him in person made my anger burn hotter. This was the man who had convinced my wife to destroy our marriage. The man who had sweet-talked her into stealing from me while planning to steal from her too. The elevator doors closed, taking them up to his third-floor apartment where the final act of his con game would play out. My phone rang. James calling to check on me. How are you holding up, he asked. I'm watching the police arrest the man who ruined my marriage, I said, keeping my eyes on the building. Any word from Harper? She's inside with him right now, helping the police get evidence. Her lawyer convinced her that cooperating was her only chance to avoid serious jail time. Do you think she really understands what she's done? I watched another police car pull up, this one carrying federal agents. Robert's crimes had crossed state lines, making this a federal case with much more serious penalties. She understands she got caught, I said. Whether she understands the damage she caused to our marriage is another question. Through the apartment building windows, I could see lights turning on and off on the third floor. The police were moving into position, getting ready to make their arrest. James, I need to tell you something. I've been thinking about this all day, and I've made a decision about Harper. What kind of decision? Even if she helps catch Robert, even if she gets a reduced sentence, I can't stay married to her. What she did wasn't just a mistake, it was a choice. She chose to lie to me for months. She chose to steal from me. She chose to plan a future with another man. You don't have to explain yourself to me. Anyone would feel the same way. The hardest part is that I still care about her. After 12 years, you can't just turn off love like a light switch. But caring about someone and trusting them are two different things. My phone buzzed with another text from Detective Reynolds. Suspect is in custody. Operation successful. Your wife is safe and unharmed. Through the apartment windows, I could see flashlights moving around. Police officers were searching Robert's apartment, collecting evidence of his crimes. A few minutes later, the building's front doors opened. Robert emerged in handcuffs, flanked by 2 federal agents. He looked smaller and less impressive than I had expected. Just an ordinary man who had chosen to make a living by destroying other people's lives. Harper followed behind them, escorted by Detective Reynolds. She wasn't in handcuffs, but she looked devastated. Her face was pale, her eyes red from crying, and she moved like someone who had finally realized how much she had lost. She spotted my car across the street and stared at me through the windshield. For a moment, we looked at each other across the distance that now separated us. Not just physical distance, but the emotional distance created by months of lies and betrayal. I didn't wave. I didn't smile. I just looked at her, letting her see the disappointment and sadness in my eyes. Detective Reynolds walked Harper to her car while the federal agents drove away with Robert. The sting operation was over, but the legal consequences were just beginning. My phone rang again. This time it was Harper. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What is there to talk about?" I helped him catch him. I wore a wire. I got him to admit everything on tape. He confessed to stealing from me, from you, from all the other women he's conned over the years. That doesn't change what you did to our marriage. I know, but maybe it's a start. Maybe it shows that I'm trying to make things right. I watched her standing beside her car in the apartment parking lot, still talking to me on the phone while looking in my direction. "Harper, helping the police was the right thing to do, but you only did it to save yourself from going to jail. That's not the same as trying to make things right with me. What if I could get some of the money back? What if I could find a way to repay what I took?" It was never about the money. It was about trust. It was about honesty. It was about commitment to our marriage vows. "I can earn your trust back. I can prove that I've learned from this mistake." I started my car, ready to drive home to the house that would soon be mine alone. "Harper, some mistakes are too big to come back from. Some choices change everything forever. Please don't give up on us. Please don't give up on 12 years of marriage. You gave up on us the day you decided to steal from me and run away with a stranger. I'm just accepting what you already chose." I hung up the phone and drove away, leaving Harper standing alone in the parking lot where her dreams of new life had finally died. 6 months later, I stood in the courthouse lobby reading the final judgment that officially ended my marriage to Harper and Collins. The divorce was complete. The house was mine. The remaining savings accounts were mine. Harper had agreed to everything in exchange for my testimony, supporting her cooperation with federal investigators. Robert Sinclair had been sentenced to 8 years in federal prison for fraud, identity theft, and money laundering. The judge had been particularly harsh because Robert had targeted vulnerable women and destroyed multiple families across several states. Harper received 2 years probation and community service. Her cooperation with police had saved her from jail time, but she would spend the next 24 months working at a women's shelter, helping other victims of financial fraud. The irony wasn't lost on me. My lawyer approached me as I folded the divorce papers and put them in my briefcase. "How does it feel to be a free man?" he asked. "Honestly, it feels like the end of one chapter and the beginning of another." "Any regrets about how you handled everything?" I thought about his question carefully. I regret that Harper made the choices she made. I regret that our marriage ended this way. But I don't regret protecting myself or holding her accountable for what she did. You did everything right. You gathered evidence. You worked with law enforcement. You protected your assets. And you gave her a chance to cooperate. Most people in your situation would have handled it much worse. Walking out of the courthouse, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. The financial damage had been manageable. Insurance had covered some of the stolen money. Robert's assets, when they were finally located and seized, had provided partial restitution to his victims. I had lost about $15,000 total, painful but not devastating. The emotional damage had been harder to calculate. 12 years of marriage gone. Trust in someone I had loved completely shattered. Faith in my own judgment shaken. But I had survived. More than that, I had learned something important about myself. When faced with betrayal and deception, I had responded with intelligence instead of anger. I had gathered facts instead of making accusations. I had protected myself while still giving Harper a chance to do the right thing. My phone buzzed with a text message from an unknown number. Harper had been trying to contact me for weeks, but I had blocked her phone number and email address. This message came from her sister Caroline. Harper asked me to tell you that she's sorry. She knows she can't undo what she did, but she wants you to know that she realizes now how much she lost when she betrayed you. I deleted the message without responding. Some apologies come too late to matter. 3 weeks later, I was having dinner at my favorite restaurant when a familiar voice called my name. Is that really you? I can't believe it. I turned around to see Amanda, a woman I had known in college but hadn't seen in years. She was sitting alone at a nearby table, apparently waiting for someone who was running late. Amanda, what a surprise. What brings you to town? I moved here 6 months ago for work. I'm a nurse at the Children's Hospital now. We talked for a few minutes about our careers, our families, the changes in our lives since college. Amanda mentioned that she had gone through her own difficult divorce 2 years earlier. I heard about what happened with Harper, she said gently. Small towns and all that. I'm sorry you had to go through something so painful. Thank you. It was hard, but I'm doing better now. Would you like to join me for dinner? My friend just canceled, and I hate eating alone. I looked at Amanda, really looked at her for the first time since we had started talking. She was attractive, intelligent, and kind. More importantly, she was genuine. There was no deception in her eyes, no hidden agenda in her smile. I like that, I said. Over dinner, Amanda told me about her work helping sick children and their families. She talked about her love of hiking, her volunteer work with animal shelters, and her dream of traveling to places she had only seen in books. I found myself laughing for the first time in months. Can I ask you something personal? Amanda said as we finished our meal. Sure. Do you think you'll ever be able to trust someone again? After what Harper did? I considered her question seriously. I think trust is like any other skill. It gets stronger with practice. Harper taught me to pay attention to red flags, to trust my instincts, and to protect myself. But she also taught me how valuable real honesty is. That's a very mature way to look at it. The alternative is to become bitter and suspicious of everyone. And that's not the kind of person I want to be. Amanda smiled. I think you're going to be just fine. 6 months after that dinner, Amanda and I were engaged. 1 year later, we were married in a small ceremony attended by close friends and family. Harper wasn't invited, but I learned later that she had sent a card wishing us well. Standing at the altar with Amanda, promising to love and honor her for the rest of my life, I realized something important. Harper's betrayal hadn't destroyed my ability to love or trust. It had taught me to be more careful with my heart, but also more grateful when I found someone worthy of it. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you leads to the best thing that happens to you. Sometimes getting your heart broken is the first step toward finding the person you were really meant to be with. Sometimes the perfect catch isn't the one you planned for. It's the one that comes along when you're finally ready to appreciate what real love looks like. Harper had taught me what I didn't want in marriage. Amanda was teaching me what I did.